Welcome back to ReadingBear. Today, we will take a look at some new Entitled People stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first one is titled, Yet Another Encounter with the Self-Appointed Disabled Police. My fiancé suffers from a somewhat rare neurological condition called paresthesia neurological, which is connected to traumatic nerve damage caused by not one but two car accidents. One aspect of paresthesia neurological is that she has mobility issues and finds it difficult and extremely painful to walk more than short distances. However, like many people with a disability, her disability is not easily seen or noticed unless she is attempting to walk. As a result, we occasionally run into what I call the disability police. The most common occurrence is when I am driving the car with her in the front passenger seat and I park the car in a marked disabled parking spot with the disabled parking tag hanging from the car's rear view mirror, and I get out of the car. They see me easily walking around the car to open the door for her and start screaming, "You're not disabled. You can't park in that disabled person parking spot." Particularly when we go grocery shopping, we go to supermarkets that have powered scooters so that she can ride and drive around the store while shopping. On a recent visit to our local supermarket, I did what I usually do. I parked the car, went into the store, found a scooter with a fully charged battery, got on it and drove it out to our car so that she wouldn't have to walk from the parking lot into the store and get the cart herself. Normally this is not an issue, but this time some self-appointed disability police person saw me walk into the store and start driving the scooter out to the parking lot and starts chasing after me screaming, "You're not disabled. I saw you walk into the store without any problem," and then screams, "Thief. Thief," and that she was going to call the police. Knowing how things are in our little Cape Cod, Massachusetts town, I just decided to park the scooter next to our car and told my fiancé to stay in the car. A police car pulled up and Miss Disability Policewoman starts telling the officer that I was not disabled and had taken one of the scooters for disabled people and was attempting to steal it. The officer came over to our car and then said, "Hi, my name," looks into the car and says, "Hi, my fiancé's name. By the way, my fiancé's name, thanks for the cookies you baked and brought over to the police station last week. We really loved them." Miss Disability Policewoman's mouth dropped open, and when the police officer helped my fiancé's name out of the car and onto the scooter, it looked like she wanted to crawl into a hole somewhere and hide. The police officer then turned to her and in a voice a parent might use on a misbehaving, bratty child said, "Miss, I suggest you go somewhere else, mind your own business and stop harassing my friends." She scurried off, got in her car and left. My fiancé's name loves to bake and cook and often bakes cookies and brownies and drops them off at the local police station for the police and at the local firehouse for the firemen. She doesn't consider it a bribe but considers it just being a good neighbor and realizes that our local police and firemen don't get paid a big salary or get properly appreciated. The next one is titled, Lady at Work Tried to Burn the Place Down Over an Expired Coupon. So, I used to work for a large store chain many years ago. I won't say the name, but it sells a bit of everything and the company started in Arkansas. So, my workplace is one that has big Black Friday sales. For working Black Friday, we basically get a one-time use coupon for a very heavy discount on anything that we can add to our normal employee discount. It only lasts a few weeks before expiring, so you have to use it quick. I only worked there for one holiday season, so I only went through Black Friday once, but it was a nightmare. I definitely earned that coupon. Don't remember what I used it for, but that's beside the point. So, a few weeks after Black Friday, and about a week after the coupons expired, I come into work for my shift. During our lunch break, I hear some of my coworkers talking about somebody being crazy. I asked them what they were talking about, and this is what they told me. I'm trying to write it as best as I remember, so not all of the details may be accurate. One of the employees that had worked on Black Friday, different normal work crew than me, thankfully, had apparently forgotten that the Black Friday working coupons had an expiration date. Apparently, the day before, she had decided to try and make a really big purchase using the coupon, and the cashier said it had expired. She lost her mind, screaming at the cashier and demanding they take it. She said she had worked for it, since it was their duty to take it no matter what, and she wouldn't accept having worked Black Friday and not getting that discount. Several managers, including the store manager, had to come deal with her, and eventually she was escorted off the property. She wasn't fired for her outburst but received some disciplinary action. Well, she apparently snapped at the managers daring to refuse her, because the next day, maybe 12 hours after she tried to use her coupon, and just hours before I heard this story from my coworkers, she returned to the store with, and I'm not kidding here, a knife, a shotgun, and a blowtorch, intent on killing her manager and her coworkers and setting the building on fire. But she somehow dropped her knife on the way in, and when she got into the store, her gun jammed. Left with just the blowtorch, she started to try and set the mat in the entrance on fire. I know this sounds made up, but it is completely true. She was quickly tackled by security and restrained until police arrived and she was arrested. She was, of course, fired, and faced some pretty heavy charges. I don't remember the charges. All I remember is seeing her mugshot online with her in a straitjacket. I got several crazy stories out of that job, but that was the craziest. Thankfully, nobody was harmed, and no damage was done to the store. The next one is titled, Woman, Do Not Touch My Child. A few hours ago, my family says that instead of Auntie, called my mother about something that happened today. Her pissed-off black woman voice could be heard across the room. I was curious what happened, worried something bad happened as I've never heard her so angry, and asked my mother to put her on speakerphone. The following story she told us is parallel to a situation my mother and I went through when I was very young. Here's how it began. Early this afternoon, age 52, and her daughter, age 9, went to the store to pick up baking supplies for my cousin to make her first gingerbread house. Cousin had always wanted to make one and was inspired when I shared photos of the holiday goodies I made. I told her it's more fun to make food from scratch and they just taste better, and she wanted to give it a try. That was their plan for this weekend. Cousin and Auntie went to Dollar Tree for candy since they could get way more for way less than their local grocery for the good brand name stuff. They had most of the ingredients at home, so they didn't need much. Being the holiday season, they were in grocery line for quite a while. Cousin bounced with excitement saying how she couldn't wait to get started on the gingerbread house and make it so cute. There was a white woman in line behind them, Auntie assumed 40-something, whose outfit said she could buy anything at full price and still afford her bills for the month. She said with a big smile, "Your daughter has such pretty hair." One thing about the women in my family, we all have great hair because we take care of it. It's thick, healthy and beautiful, and we take pride in it. We all stopped using relaxers before Cousin was even born, so it was 100% pure African American hair. It's a lot of work, but the payoff is worth it. Cousin loves getting her hair styled. Today's style was 2 twists over her head like a headband, butterfly clips and matching bubble balls around 4 separate, evenly parted twists with flower barrettes on the ends. It was windy where they live, so Auntie also gelled her hair down. Auntie thanked the woman for the compliment. Cousin was shy around strangers and inched forward, feeling uneasy as the woman was not on the 6-foot marker on the floor separating them. While Auntie started loading their things onto the conveyor belt, she noticed one of Cousin's flower barrettes fell off and one of her little twists came loose. Auntie told her to pick it up, she has bad knees, as not to lose it. Cousin bent down to get it, and as soon as she stood up, the woman behind grabs her and starts touching her hair. This total stranger put her hands on another stranger's child, especially a black woman's child. Yeah, her obituary would be in the works if it were my kid. When Auntie saw her, she hollered, "Get your hands off my child." The woman stared at her wide-eyed and didn't stop. "She's fine. Her hair is just so pretty, I couldn't resist the urge to touch it." Auntie starts taking her earrings off. Wasn't her first fight. She said, "Lady, I do not know you, and I am not above resisting the urge to touch you." She snatched the woman's hand away and threw it aside as it smacked into the conveyor belt. The woman cried out in pain while clutching her hand and yells, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Auntie tells her, "You don't put your hands on someone else's child. If I did that to your kid, you'd have my black ass arrested." The woman looks at Cousin, who is on the verge of tears, and says, "I bet your mean mommy beats you at home, doesn't she? You're probably being abused. I can take you away from that pain, baby." Cousin began to step back from the woman, smelling the crazy on her, and this broad quickly grabs her arm by force. Cousin shrieks and Auntie backhands the woman clean across the face. The woman just gasped and stared at Auntie like she was crazy. To Auntie's credit, she was the right kind of crazy. The kind you don't F with when it comes to her cubs. Auntie didn't know if someone called a manager or security or if they were already coming, but they did, and the 2 security men restrained Auntie. "She's no small lady." The woman immediately started sobbing and told them, "Arrest this psycho. She assaulted me when all I did was say her daughter's hair was pretty." Auntie said, "You put your hands on my baby. You're lucky I'm not whooping you ass up and down these aisles." The cashier and some onlookers vouched for her, saying she didn't know the woman who just started touching Cousin's hair for no reason. The manager told one of the security guards to stay with the woman while he, Auntie and the other guard went to his office. Auntie told them everything that happened before they checked the CCTVs. Everything from the woman touching Cousin's hair to Auntie slapping the taste out of her mouth when she tried to grab Cousin by force. Everything Auntie told them was caught on video. The manager asked if Cousin was okay, and she said yes. She was just scared for the other woman because she thought her mum was going to, and I quote, "beat the white off that woman and curb stomp her." This made the security guy laugh. He was a black man with a daughter himself and agreed that his wife would have done the same thing. They went back to the woman and told her Untie was acting out of self-defense for her child. The manager told her that because she grabbed the little girl by force, she was on the hook for first-degree kidnapping charges. This is when the woman started fuming and shouted, "It's not my fault, this skin pigment-related slur is a horrible mother." And there it was. The infamous word that ended Paula Deen's career and made Dave Chappelle a household name. The manager, the security guards, the onlookers, Untie saw a lot of dropped jaws and heard a lot of shocked gasps. The woman realized what she said and sputtered, trying to save face. The manager promptly told her to shut up and asked Untie if she wanted to press charges. Untie said hell yeah. The security guard who waited with the woman slapped some lovely silver bracelets to go with her outfit and escorted her out the store. She was charged for the attempted kidnapping and banned from the store for the hate speech. Edit to add, I found out from Untie that half the people there were black, including the manager. Some people clapped as the woman was escorted out. Auntie's $40 purchase was comped, and they went home. No matter how sweet cousin makes her gingerbread house, I'm sure the justice she and Untie got today was even sweeter. Edit, wow, I really didn't think this post would firework overnight. Thanks so much to everyone for the awards, sharing your own stories, and giving props to my aunt. Cousin called me a few minutes ago. She showed me a picture of her gingerbread house and did a great job. It's more like a log cabin with a Kit Kat bar exterior and white cotton candy chimney smoke. She and her mum watch lots of home reno shows, so I get where she got her inspiration from. And to those of you who called me racist, I can see your glass house crumbling around you from those stones you're throwing. And also, for those who don't believe my story, that sounds like your problem. Also, I mistyped about the hate speech and corrected it. Voice texting and typing manual corrections on mobile is not advised, so some of you very rude stone throwers, you can get all the way off my back about it. Sorry for the confusion, but it was an accident I fixed. Happy holidays. The next one is titled, Smoke in My Car? Enjoy the fresh air. Hello Reddit. This one I was reminded of by a friend of mine. Edit, permission to be read on YouTube. Included in this story a bit of background. I'm from Germany. I have only a few rules concerning my home, my stuff and my car. When other people come around in my home, it is, I am not a servant. If you want to eat, drink, take it from the fridge, pantry. With my tools it is ask before using. And in my car, it is, do not smoke in my car. And for all above, make a mess and you clean it up. Seems reasonable? Well, not for the guy in this story. Cast, me equals me, S equals smoker, P equals police officer. This happened in summer 2015. I got my car in December 2014. A 2008 Volkswagen Golf 1.9 diesel. I still drive it. I was on my way to a convention and decided to take a passenger with me. Really nice to have some company on a 6-hour drive. I picked him up and told him about the no smoking rule. Everything seemed fine until we hit the autobahn. This guy pulled out a pack of cigarettes and lit one up. This conversation ensued. Me, hey, what the hell? I told you no smoking. S, so what? What you going to do about it? Me, kick you out. S, you know. It is illegal to stop on the autobahn. This is true. German law states, you can stop on the autobahn unless it is an emergency, or your car broke down. You even get fined for running out of gas on the autobahn, as it is preventable. Anyways, I knew something S didn't know. There was a truck stop just 3 kilometers ahead. I got off the autobahn and stopped at said truck stop. Me, alright, out of my car. Now. S, you can't do that. Me, sure, as heck I can. This is my car and I have every right to kick you out. The next part is a bit blurry as it was mainly screaming at each other. I remember getting out of my car and tossing his suitcase and bag out of my car. Then dragging him out of my car and shoving him to the ground. I drove off and listened to music the rest of the drive, singing along to Rammstein. Later that evening, I was in the hotel room relaxing after the drive. I had been there for about 3 hours at that point when I heard a knock on the door. Hotel management, hotel security, convention organizer and the police were all standing there with a smug-looking police told me they picked him up about 2 kilometers away from the truck stop on the autobahn. He claimed I kicked him out at the spot where they found him. P, you do know this is illegal. You broke highway code XYX and willingly endangered S's life. Me, sir, with all respect, he has been lying to you. I kicked him out at the truck stop. You can ring them up. I am sure they have it on tape. Did he even tell you why I kicked him out? P, no, he didn't. I then told them the story and explained I didn't want him in my car anymore because he broke my personal rules in my personal car. I kicked him out at the truck stoppers. From there he could have easily called someone to come and pick him up. S turned very pale by that point. P looked at him furious. P, is this true? S, well. P, you need to come with me. S got charged with falsely accusing me. It was a money-related penalty. In the 4-figure range. Wasn't the first time, as I later found out. The convention cancelled his membership. Hotel management cancelled his reservation. And I got free drinks at the hotel bar for my entire stay, as well as a free sponsor upgrade for the convention. The next one is titled, My Sister and the Terrible Nickname She Never Wanted to Stop Using. Many of my viewers know the story of how my mother called me the horrible nickname Stinky that made my blood boil. Well, my older sister had a nickname for me that was comparable, but not as bad. Here's the story of that. In the 90s, my sister was obsessed with the actress Melissa Joan Hart, who went on to play Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And at the time, her claim to fame was the TV show Clarissa Explains It All on Nickelodeon. My sister loved that show. One of the things she really liked was how Clarissa always messed with her brother Ferguson by calling him Fergwad. I will admit Ferguson was a right royal prick to his sister in the show, but I was nothing like him in any way. We looked, sounded, acted nothing alike. But that didn't stop my sister from wanting to act like Clarissa. So, she started spamming a nickname she'd already had for me that my mum didn't stop because she thought it was endearing, like Stinky. My name is actually easily twisted into the name of a type of bread. And my sister loved to call me by that name. Like pretty much daily. And I never had a good counter because her name is French or something, and not only kind of obscure, but also very hard to make fun of or twist into anything. So, I had no comeback at all and ended up taking this verbal abuse for years. I did sort get back at my sister eventually in early adulthood, though, when I accidentally discovered she really hated when I called her Manuel. Sounds like Manuel. It was the name of some butler I saw on TV. So, for a while, every time she'd talk to me, and especially if she used the bread name, I'd say, "Thank you, Manuel, that'll be all." Or, "Okay, Manuel. I'll take it into consideration." That made her burn with rage, and she'd start to verbally tear into me over how she wasn't Manuel. Then I pointed out to her how it felt for me to be called by the name of bread for so long. Then she legit tried to argue it was a nickname that sounded so good, and she'd liked it for so long. I told her that it didn't matter. And if she wanted me to stop calling her Manuel, then she'd have to stop too. Guess who stopped referring to me as bread? The next one is titled, Male Karen Ruins the End of My Shift Over a Coffee. I was coming to the end of my shift as a till assistant when a male Karen, EP, started putting his things on my till. He ignored me when I asked how his day was going and only acknowledged my existence when I told him the total. He asked for a free coffee. This is something the store I worked at offered under their loyalty program, so I asked for his loyalty card. He immediately began shouting that he never brought it and was always given a free coffee in the past. I decided to stick to policy and refused unless he had the card. What made it worse was when he went to customer service desk and they gave him the coffee. He then came back to tell me I needed to be fired. I told him I worked there for the last 5 years and knew my job, turned around and walked away. My manager had my back, best feeling ever. The next one is titled, Former Friend's Little Sister Ruins a Book I Loaned Her, asks me if I'll be buying a new one so she can finish it. So, I was sorting through my boxes of books and realized I was missing a book and remembered this story from back in the day, thought I'd share it with you all for a laugh. So, as a teenager back many years ago, my favorite book was Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. What can I say, I was very much into the emo vampires back then. My then best friend asked to borrow it as she was curious with how often I spoke about it. Now normally I didn't like loaning out books as I'm very particular about them and didn't like to risk them being damaged, but as I said, this was my best friend, so I agreed and brought the book into school the next day to loan to her. A few weeks go by and I ask her how she's getting on with the book, what she thinks, etc. She tells me she'd gotten about halfway through, but her little sister had gotten her hands on it and drawn all over the pages, so she threw it out. She then asked me when I'd buy another copy and if she could finish it when I did. I told her she should be buying me a new copy and she said it wasn't her fault, her sister had ruined it and she wasn't going to pay for it. The next one is titled, Entitled Woman Gets Banned from Laundromat and Has Her Privileges Suspended. Hey everyone. I have another entitled story. It just happened an hour ago. I was cleaning up the laundromat parking lot and I met with two women. They came from a homeless shelter called Father Joe Village and people from there would bring a cart and do their 2-load wash and 28 minutes drying for free. She and her friend came, and she had 2 cards and her friend has 3 cards. First rudeness was that she demanded to the soap dispenser cleaned. I did it and I noticed she was putting a lot of soap in the machine and I told her not to put too much. She told me to mind my business and I just left her. I helped the other woman, and she was a lot nicer than her. I was helping the other woman and suggested her to use the big dryer so she wouldn't struggle much, and the friend bullied her out of the big dryer, and she was forced to use the small ones. Second rudeness was that she demanded money from the dryer. I told her no, and she threatened to report the business to one of the supervisors at Father Joe. I told her to go ahead. As was I crouching down to tie my shoe, quarters were out from my pocket and she went to grab them. At this point I told her to give them back and she said no. Then she was yelling at me, cursing and calling me a crook. At this point my boss came and I told her what happened, and she called one of the supervisors from Father Joe. We explained to the Father Joe supervisor and he knew who that person was since I told the name of the woman. The other woman that came with her apologized to me for her friend rudeness and behavior. I told her it wasn't her fault. She told me that she was rude to everyone and she feels that she is entitled to everything. As for the Father Joe supervisor, we had a talk and he told us that she has her privileges suspended, and my boss told him that she was banned since she was rude to me and to my boss. The supervisor suspected that the entitled woman must have stolen the extra cards so she wouldn't pay and scam money out of the laundromats she went. My boss thinks that she may be kicked out since she is causing more issues with other people and the Father Joe staff.